Hello my loves, what is up and welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all doing well, having yourselves a wonderful day, and welcome to our 2026 financial reset. I feel like the demand for this video has been so high this year, which makes my heart so happy. These videos are honestly my absolute favorite to film. I had so much fun filming my last video and doing all my goal setting, but in case it wasn't already obvious enough, I do love the budgeting side of things when it comes to resetting for the new year, setting up our new budget. It just honestly gets me going. I'm gonna cut straight to the chase because we have a lot of things to cover. We're going to go over our 2025 financial goals. I touched on these in my last video a little bit, but I think it's important to provide context, and then we're going to go over my 2026 financial goals. We're also going to look at our budget across the entire year. I budget monthly, but the spreadsheet I use has an annual dashboard. So after 12 months of inputting all of your expenses, your income, you get this beautiful, fun, graph-filled page where you can see everything, a nice holistic overview of your finances from the past year. I've been using the same spreadsheet for the last, I think it's my 4th year using it, so I can refer back and compare it with last year's spending. A little budget wrapped, if you will. And then we're gonna finish things off by setting up our 2026 budget, which is always the fun part. Making little tweaks here and there, things that I wanna add, change, and just how I wanna set up my budget to reflect my financial goals. So speaking of goals, let's take a quick look at our 2025 financial goals just to provide a bit of context, see what we did well, maybe what we wanna carry over into 2026. First goal we set was to utilize sinking funds and actually do it this year. We smashed this one. I've been setting this goal every single year for the last like 5 years, and we finally did it. I'm obsessed with sinking funds. They've quite literally changed my life, not to be dramatic. And I finally figured out a way that I can reflect those in my budget when I spend and save from my sinking funds, which I feel like has really helped with my motivation and keeping up with them. Next goal we didn't quite get to, which was to do one no spend week a month. We were really good about this for the first half of the year and then kind of fell off with it. This is definitely something I want to carry over into 2026. We did invest monthly, really proud of this one, every month apart from November, but we invested extra in December. So I'm taking this one off. We're still very much trying to find that balance between paying extra off of our mortgage, which is a big priority for us. I talked about this and like the reason behind that in my debt-free update, I think. But obviously being in the personal finance space, I also understand the importance of investing and investing early while we're still relatively young. It's still very much a balancing act, but I feel like we're finding that balance slowly but surely. Making regular investments, I think, has really helped. Our big stretch goal this year was to pay off an extra $50,000 of our mortgage. We did do that. That has saved us $202,000 in the long run because we saved so much in interest, and it's taken 4 years and like 7 months off the life of our loan. Next goal was to start planning for an investment property. We did start planning, still kind of up in the air with what we want to do, whether we buy a new primary residence and turn our current home into an investment property, or we buy a new investment property and stay here for longer. We don't really know. We also wanted to increase our net worth to 400,000. I can't quite remember what we started the year off at. Let me have a look. Oh, we started the year off at 387,000. So that was probably always gonna happen, wasn't it? I think maybe when I set this goal, I hadn't calculated our net worth yet. And I was like, 400,000, that sounds like a nice amount. We were actually pretty close at the beginning of the year. Our current net worth is sitting at 646,000. So we really smashed that one, largely due to the value of our property going up and then also paying off extra, $50,000 extra. I've been investing extra in my super fund or my retirement fund, and just like saving more in general, I feel like. That's how I feel, at least. Whether our spending actually reflects that, we'll find out. And then my last money goal this year, I set halfway through the year. I like to do a mid-year reset just to check in on my goals, my budget, my spending, see how we're progressing, and if we want to change anything. One thing I've learned over the years is that like goals don't have to be so rigid. We are such fluid creatures as humans, like things are always changing. My life looks completely different from how it did 12 months ago. I'm about to be a mother. Did I mention that? I've got to mention it in every video. I could never have predicted, as much as we were planning for a family and as much as that's what we wanted, I could never have predicted that I would be 8.5 months pregnant at the end of the year. And so I think it's important to breathe, firstly. Gosh, pregnancy, honestly. Oh, this baby is like literally up here. I can like, oh my God, I'm running out of space. What was I saying? Cool. Oh yes, it's important to pivot and be able to be flexible. You're not failing if you choose to change your goals, or if something's no longer serving you, if something's no longer a priority. I used to always see it as that, and it's not. So one of the goals we set halfway through the year was to have $50,000 in my super fund. We didn't quite get there with this one. I think we're sitting at like $46,900. So pretty close. Definitely something I want to bring into the new year. Speaking of new year, should we go over our 2026 financial goals? Why not? Okay, first goal is to do 12 no spend weeks across the year. Similar to last year's goal, but rather than doing it monthly, we have a bit more flexibility. We can kind of spread it out. There'll be some months where we don't have a lot going on and we can do 2 no spend weeks in the month. And I'm sure there'll be other months where we're just absolutely jam-packed and have so much going on that it's just not possible. No spend weeks for us are something that's like fun and a way to kind of gamify and challenge ourselves. They've kind of evolved over the years. When we were really in our savings hustle era, they were out of necessity. Like we really just needed to save extra money, and that was our way of cutting back. Now they've become more of like a fun little challenge and a way to really cut out that habitual spending and reset our finances. I think that's the biggest thing that I take from no spend weeks. So 12 of them this year. Anytime throughout the year, once we get to like November, December, I'll be like, oh my gosh, I mean, no spend 2 months because I have not hit this goal. My next goal for 2026 is to maintain our emergency fund. I touched on this in my last video, my 2026 just like goal setting reset video. Nick just accepted a new job offer, which is super exciting. With that comes a big pay rise. Super exciting, very blessed, kind of takes the pressure off, especially for me with my income being variable and, you know, entering motherhood. However, it has fallen in a time where there'll be a period of time. He also, this is the other thing, this is huge for the budget. He's getting paid monthly now, which is kind of crazy. I don't know if we're gonna love or hate this. We'll find out, I guess. But just with how everything's lining up, and this is really depending on when the baby comes, but he's finishing up his old job in January and will be starting his new job straight away. Depending on when the baby actually makes his appearance, he'll have a couple of weeks with his new company just to get that handover, get that experience, and also make sure he's eligible for paid parental leave, which he gets 18 weeks of. He just has to be with the company for 3 months before he can take it. But when the baby does come, he's gonna take 6 weeks off. It will just be unpaid because he doesn't have that leave built up and he's not eligible for the paid parental leave yet, if that makes sense. So it'll be like a 6-week period, maybe even longer because he is paid monthly, where we won't have like regular income coming in. In December, we've set aside extra money in our emergency fund to cover for that, so we can pull money from that during that period. The goal this year is to maintain that emergency fund and make sure that it's fully funded, especially with us becoming parents. There's just like more to consider, more expenses, more on the line, I guess you could say. I don't know if that's the best way of putting it, but like we've got more. We're a family now. We have to be responsible. Next goal is a bit of a stretch goal, but I like to manifest these things. We want to increase our net worth to 800,000. Again, just kind of an arbitrary number, but that's an increase of about 150,000. We've kind of been averaging that each year, so we'll see. This next one is a bit of a fun one. This is very much a bucket list goal for me, but we would love to fly business class to Europe. I would just love to experience business class. As a former travel agent, I've booked it, I've seen it, it sounds incredible. Will I regret booking a business class flight and never being able to return to economy again? Probably. It just sounds so lush, so lush. And we do have a lot of Qantas frequent flyer points built up, so fingers crossed. I've set the same goal to invest monthly again this year. I'll often refer back to my yearly goals whenever I'm doing my monthly resets, and this is a nice little reminder just to like slowly chip away and keep that at the forefront of our financial plans and our financial future. Just like investing, it scares me. It does scare me because it's so unknown. The return on investment isn't always guaranteed. I mean, nothing's guaranteed in life. I just feel like I have safer goals, like paying off our mortgage. That feels safer to me, and being mortgage free just feels more attainable and more in line with my risk appetite. But I know the importance of investing, so good to have that reminder and set that as a goal. Next one is to pay off an extra $30,000 of our mortgage. So we're lowering it from $50,000 last year. I just think it's important to, you know, keep things realistic. We are going to have a new baby. Have no idea what that's going to look like. Obviously, if we can smash it and add another $50,000 extra on our mortgage, then I'd be so happy with that. But I think 30,000 is maybe a little bit more achievable. Next goal, we're carrying over from last year, but we're increasing the amount. I want to have $65,000 in my super fund by the end of the year. And last but not least, our last 2026 financial goal is to donate monthly. This is something we were really good about last year. I'm so proud of what we were able to give back. Anything that we can do to help monetarily and also just like with our own time. I would love to do more of that in 2026, giving back with our time. But yeah, again, a nice little reminder to do that consistently. And yeah, those are my 2026 financial goals. I will be referring back to these month on month, so prepare to be sick of me. We're now going to move over to my computer and have a look at our 2025 spending, what we saved, what we invested, how much debt we paid off, what we made this year, and compare from last year. This is always a very humbling experience. I'm cracking open a cold one. A pregnancy cold one. This is my current hyperfixation coconut water, specifically the Cocoa Coast flavors. This one's lychee. It's really good. Yum. It's really hot today, in case you cared. I've got my budget spreadsheet pulled up here with the annual overview. I use a CoPlenty spreadsheet. CoPlenty are kindly sponsoring this portion of the video. So excited to be working with them again. This is my 4th year using the same spreadsheet. It honestly hasn't even crossed my mind exploring other options. Like I've got a good thing going. I honestly attribute a lot of my financial success to having this spreadsheet in my toolbox. They've really just like thought of it all. They have a bunch of different products on their website. I'll have a link down below. They have a meal planner, travel planner, which is really handy. I also use the Golden Habit Tracker to do all of my habit and goal tracking. And they do a bundle with the budget spreadsheet and the Golden Habit Tracker together. And it comes with a free extra spreadsheet with the 2.0 and the 1.0 budget spreadsheet if you're debating between the two. I'll have a link down below in case you're interested. That link will automatically apply my discount code. Otherwise you can use the code SMILEYCITRUS10, I believe, to save a bit of money. So this is the annual dashboard. When you first download the spreadsheet, it will look a little something like this. So it has a full instructions with a little playlist, step-by-step tutorial. I also have a bunch of videos on my own channel on how I like set it up, and we'll go through that together when I do my 2026 budget setup. And then this is the annual dashboard. So it looks completely blank at the beginning of the year. And then as the year progresses, it will start looking a little something like this. This is my 2025 financial overview. So we've got all the nitty gritty numbers and all the graphs beautifully filled out. You can also change the colors of this. I don't know if maybe I'm gonna switch it up this year. Maybe I was sick of the pink. I do like the pink though. It feels very me. Having a look at our income for the year, there's an expected column. So this is what I expected to make in said month, the actual column, which is how much we actually made, and then whatever the difference is. You can see in November, I overestimated how much we were gonna make, but I, in total across the year, under budgeted by $75,802, which is not a bad thing. I like to under budget because I do make a variable income. There's no guarantees how much I'm gonna make every single month. I can kind of have a ballpark figure, but I don't actually know when that money is going to come in. So I prefer to lowball it, work off a budget I feel comfortable with, and then anything extra we'll just save or invest. So yeah, in total this year we made $259,652 after taxes, which is insane. For our bills this year, we spent $15,125. You can see a bit of a difference. July was the beginning of the new financial year and we switched over to private health insurance just because we were paying for it come tax time. Subscriptions, we spent a total of $800.59. Our general expenses, so our variable expenses, a lot of red here, which I don't love to see, but I do lowball my income. I do try and save and invest most of that, but we are in a really fortunate position that we have that wiggle room. So if we do overspend on some months, it's like not the end of the world. We've also been pulling a lot from our sinking funds in 2025. This year we saved $55,034, which is awesome. And we put $95,436.84 towards our debt. That's our mortgage, just all mortgage. Again, there's just some more graphics down here. So you can see the breakdown of our income. You can see it's pretty evenly split, like 66.7% was my personal income, and then Nick's respective paychecks for the rest. You can see the little graph with our bills, again with subscriptions. This one's really interesting, seeing our expenses. It's obvious when we fell pregnant. We didn't really make many baby related purchases, and then it suddenly skyrocketed towards the end of the year. We had a lot to buy for said baby. We also went on our baby moon. Our savings graph's looking a little sparse this year because we took so much from our sinking funds, but that's what they're there for. And again, with debt overview, you can see we really spiked just to finish off the year strong in October. October was my biggest month yet, so I put extra on our mortgage and we hit our $50,000 goal, which felt so good. Moving up, we've got our total spending overview. This pie chart is very similar to the monthly breakdown, which you'll see here. And honestly, it looks pretty similar. Our annual spending overview is very similar to a typical month. So 5.9% of our money went towards bills this year, 36.9% went towards debt, which I'm really happy with, 21.3% in savings, which considering how much we spent from savings, I am really happy with. And then we spent 35.6% of our money on expenses, and 0.3% on subscriptions, which you can't even see the piece of the pie because it's so small. Our top 5 expenses this year. First one was our extra payment, our extra mortgage repayment. You'll see there, the big 50. Second biggest expense was business. This is for maternity leave and extra super contributions. Third and fourth biggest expense were just our normal mortgage repayments. We still have a split loan, one half for our land, one half for our build because we built our house. They have the same interest rate, but our land was more expensive than the build. And then our fifth biggest expense was travel. I'm so happy with these being our top 5 expenses. These feel in line with us and our values. Most of our money went towards extra debt repayment, maternity leave, extra retirement contribution, and our mortgage, which is like a need, and then travel, which is something that is a big value of ours. I am really happy with that. Really, really happy. Scrolling down, there's like a further breakdown. So our 6th biggest expense was ETFs. So investing, again, really happy with that. 3.88% of our money went towards investing. We spent $8,500 on our home this year. Most of that was for our wardrobe fit outs. So far we spent $8,015 on the baby. This year we spent $7,366 on groceries. I would love to compare this with last year just to see. So I've got my 2024 budget wrap up. So my top 5 expenses last year were mortgage, Again, business, similar amount. Mortgage again. Car loan. That's crazy to see. I forgot that we had the car loan last year. We finished paying it off in 2024, the last 18,000. And then emergency fund, we beefed that up in 2024 as well. 35.5% went towards debt last year. 36.9% this year. That's an improvement. 33.7% in savings. 21.3% in savings this year. That checks out. This is also the first year that I accurately tracked when I spent money from savings. So some of these numbers are a little skewed. Before, I would only document when I put money into savings. So for example, if we save for travel, but I hadn't quite figured out how to reflect when we spent money from that. I now know. 4 years into using the same spreadsheet and I'm still learning new things and like the best way to make it fit me and my needs. Last year we spent $7,198.36 on groceries. And this year we spent $7,366 on groceries, like a very similar amount, which is nice to see. It just kind of shows that we're not giving into too much lifestyle creep and inflating our lifestyles with our income growth. We spent $6,141 on shopping. I feel like this is an area of improvement. I know that we could probably spend a little bit less. We spent $5,719 on social activities. That's fine. $5,500 on the dogs. No surprises there. This year we spent $5,264.01 on eating out. Let's have a look at what it was last year. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Last year we had two different categories, so we had eating out and takeaway. This year I combined them both as one category. The beauty for the spreadsheet is you can be as specific with your categories as you want. That's why I love setting up a new spreadsheet, because I can kind of tweak things and be like, that's not really working for me. I found last year there was a lot of gray area between eating out and like takeaway. There were some things that kind of fell in between. So I just made it one category in 2025. So 3,745, let's add this up. 3,745 on eating out and then 2,607 on takeaway. So $6,352 we spent on food last year. So an improvement. We only spent $5,264. That's like $1,100 less. Wow, what a slay. Gifts, we spent $5,264 this year. Last year we spent $5,000. So pretty similar. Big difference this year is we had a gift sinking fund, so we were prepared. We saved and prepared for Christmas, especially throughout the year. There were no surprises and no like financial stress or like stretching our budget in any way. We put $3,277 in our home fund. $3,000 went towards treating others. That's like donations, treating friends, family. We've just got our bills, council rates, phone, miscellaneous, home insurance, car maintenance. Oh, coffee. We spent $1,303.40. I think this might be an all-time low. Not to get ahead of myself, but I feel like I've never seen the number this low. This far down on like where my money goes, the list, like I don't think I've ever seen it. Let's have a look compared to last year. Where's coffee? Coffee. $2,000? We spent $2,078 and that was an improvement from the year before. $2,078 we spent on coffee last year and we spent $1,303. I think it's largely due to us upgrading our coffee machine. We got a new Breville. We had a Breville before, the Barista Express, which I still really like and recommend. But the Barista Touch Impress, game changer. Worth the extra money in my opinion. Just makes such a good cup of coffee, a consistently good cup of coffee. And it's so easy to use, which helps curb that temptation of going out and getting a coffee when you can make it so easily from home. Cool. I think that's pretty much it. Those are the rest of our spending. Spent $260 on books, $240 on alcohol this year, and that's on being pregnant. So yeah, that's a little comparison of our spending from last year compared to this year. Overall, I'm like really happy with this. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I feel like we kind of slayed the game. I can't stop saying slay. I need to stop. Who do I think I am? But like really, like we have done so well. Some of the categories a little bit more than last year. Some of them are a lot less. I feel like we've, kept our lifestyle relatively the same, which is really what I'm looking for. I'm really not giving into lifestyle creep. That's like our #1 priority. And I think will really serve us well going into this next chapter. As we become parents, learning to navigate that and learning to navigate the financial side of that and like how that's going to look for us, especially being self-employed, because my income is variable. Whatever I put into my business is what I get out. And I'm not going to have as much to give, truthfully. How that's going to impact our finances is yet to be seen. I have no idea. That is 2025 wrapped up in a nice little bow. Now let's set up our budget for 2026, the fun part. When you download the CoPlenty spreadsheet, this is the first thing that you'll see. If you've already bought the spreadsheet and you just want to make a new copy, you can just go back to your original email and start a new template for 2026. They've got a step-by-step instruction, so we're going to go through this together, and then if you're a visual learner, they also have a step-by-step video tutorial on YouTube, which is really handy. So step number 1, go to annuals total tab and start adding budget name for income, bills, subscriptions, expenses, savings, and debts. So this is where we can set up all of our different categories. The tab for annual totals is down here. So we've got annual dashboard, which is what I was referring back to when I was comparing my numbers from last year, because we haven't input anything or tracked anything for 2026 yet. This is completely blank, but it will fill up throughout the year. This is where we set everything up in our annual totals. They've also added a couple new features for 2026, which I am so happy about. One thing I love about CoPlenty, not only do they have incredible customer service, that's been like the biggest piece of feedback I've gotten from you guys, is how great the customer service is, which makes me so happy that I'm like recommending a product and working with a company that really cares and really cares about their customers. But they also listen, like they listen to feedback. And one of the pieces of feedback that people had was having a feature that allows you to roll over your income into the next month. It is an option, so you don't have to. I think I'm gonna select yes for 2026, just because I do tend to carry over money into the next month, and it would be nice to see that included in my budget. And then also, to make things nice and easy, they've also got a beginning balance. So any money that you want to carry over into 2026, you can. I am gonna have a look. Let's look at December, how much money we have left over. $1,234.26. So I'm gonna add this here. And if you start the budget like halfway through the year, you can change the month. No biggie. With income, you can get as specific as you need depending on your pay cycle. I know some people pay weekly, fortnightly, monthly. We're now gonna be paid monthly, which is crazy. So I'm just gonna do one line item for Nick's paycheck. That won't start until February, but just to make things easy, we're gonna leave it like that. And then my business income and miscellaneous, just in case there's any extra income that might come through. But this is what it looked like last year. Nick got paid fortnightly, paycheck 1, paycheck 2, also paycheck 3, because sometimes it's a 3 paycheck month depending on the month. And then yeah, my business income and miscellaneous. Scrolling down, we're gonna add our bills. I'm just gonna refer back to last year's budget just to make sure I don't miss anything. Got water. Ooh, aggressive with the capitals. I like to add a little emoji just to feel something. I want to look at this every day for the next 12 months, so might as well keep it fun. Gas, council rates. These are all of our quarterly bills. Let's go with that one. I haven't seen that one before. It's a bit fun, a bit different. And then electricity is now monthly, which is new. No longer paying a quarterly electricity bill, so I can really accurately budget that one rather than just setting aside like $120 a month and not really knowing what our electricity bill is going to look like. I will know now. Got home insurance, car insurance. Oh my god, I cannot spell today. I'm gonna edit back on this and be like, girl, you misspell insurance. I used to work in insurance. Like, why am I second guessing everything? Nothing looks right today. I think it's the pregnancy insomnia. It's really starting to get to me. I'm struggling to string a sentence together. It's taking everything, every ounce of energy from me just to talk to you guys, let alone spell. Pet insurance, which I actually realized we have not had Elsie on that pet insurance for this entire year. I made a mental note to myself when I did my reset last year to add Elsie, because we had like, I think 3 or 4 months free. I made a mental note to add her to Mabel's policy, and I never did. So this is my mental note. Future Ella, if you're watching this, add Elsie to the policy, because right now it's just Moo, and that is risky business, let me tell you. We've got phone or Wi-Fi, phone, and private health. I think that's it in terms of our bills. If there's anything you see me missing, something that you think I might benefit from having in my budget, please let me know. Or if there's anything really obvious that I've missed, also please let me know. Sometimes when you're like multitasking, filming, talking, and like doing it at the same time, I like completely blank out. Amazon Prime. My Apple subscription is just for my storage. That falls under business. I'm not going to include that. We'll do Netflix. Everyday Extra. This is our Woolworths subscription, which I really need to swap over to an annual one. Maybe I won't include that actually. That'll give me the push. And then Stan. And then I'm also adding miscellaneous. There's some instances where we sign up for something for just 1 month and I don't want to add it as a line item, so we'll use that as a miscellaneous. And then if we cancel or whatever, if we add it long term, we can go ahead and come back to the annual totals at any point throughout the year. If you want to add anything, if you're missing a category, if you add a new savings goal, new sinking fund, you can always just come back and add it in here and it will show up in your monthly budget right here. Then we've got our general expenses. I'm just going to go ahead and delete those, start fresh. We have groceries. I always like to do an Apple for groceries. Petrol, I like to start with my needs first, just to make sure I'm not missing anything. And then when I go and do my monthly budget, I make sure that I'm budgeting for my needs first, because I'm like going in sequential order. Petrol, we'll go transport. I envision us spending a lot more on transport this next year because Nick's going to be in the city. Home, baby McGrath. I feel like that should definitely be a category. It'll be interesting to see how much we spend in baby's first year of life. Eating out, social, treating others. Travel, I like to have a separate line item for travel. That way I can accurately track what we're spending on travel. Entertainment. A lot of these are very similar to last year. We're not reinventing the wheel here. That's like my new favorite saying. Why do I keep saying that? I sound so old. But like, I'm not in a season where I need to make any changes. Like, I have a good system going. I'm tweaking a couple of different categories and adding a few new things, and I'm sure there'll be things that pop up throughout the year that I add to my budget, but this is just how it's looking right now. Cool. I think that's all the categories I want for our general expenses. As I said, you can be as specific or as vague as you want when it comes to setting up this budget. You might just have like 5 main categories because that's what works for you. I personally thrive off of detail and see exactly where my money goes. Then we have our savings categories. Again, I'm gonna refer back to last year. I'm also going to look at my 2026 goals and just make sure all of those are included. No spend week, maintain emergency fund. Okay, we'll add that. Emergency fund, travel fund, that's a big one for us. Home, or ETFs, because we want to make sure we're consistently investing. We're still going to carry over the baby fund from last year just because we have a few expenses that we need to buy for, and it'd be nice to set aside money. I'm not sure what our plans are in terms of like setting money aside for baby when he's actually here. If we're going to make monthly investments on his behalf, or if we're going to put a certain amount of money aside for his future. I don't know what that's going to look like. Gift fund, really made the most of that in 2025, let me tell you. Rainy day fund. This was something I didn't really make the most of last year, but I think I might want to postpartum. Just have a guilt-free fund. And then business, my business account. I'm working late because I'm a singer. Then we have our debt. Our only debt at the moment is our mortgage. Let's hope it stays that way. Fingers crossed we'll pay off an extra $30,000 by the end of the year. We're manifesting it. Cool, I think that's pretty much everything. Not veering too much from what it looked like last year, just changing some of the emojis to keep it fun and fresh. But I really feel like last year's budget was solid. Not much I really need to change from 2025. Last thing we have left to do is to fill out these last few tabs. We've got savings and debt tracker. There's also a calendar feature, debt snowball calculator, and then the net worth dashboard. I pretty much exclusively use just these, so savings and debt tracker and the net worth dashboard, but there are other features if you're interested. I'm not going to fill this out on camera just because it's quite time consuming, and I'm just pulling numbers from December, basically just copying and pasting over my current net worth, but this will all be nicely filled out. This is what it looks like when it is filled out, and I update this monthly. I am, however, going to fill out the savings and debt tracker. So now I've gone ahead and added in all my different categories. They'll automatically pull over here. So this is how I track what's already in my savings. You might set a goal for the year. So your goal might be to have a $50,000 emergency fund, for example. So you can add that here. I'm not really going to set a goal because I don't need one. Our emergency fund is fully funded, but I am going to add what is currently sitting in there. So the starting amount. This is how I track everything from the one account, because we keep all of our savings in our offset, or just like one savings account. It's essentially a lump sum of money. So this is the only way that I know what amount is for what. So we started at the beginning of 2025 with 35,000 in our emergency fund, and we're ending with 40,000. This is how much is currently sitting in those accounts. So 40,000 in emergency fund. We have 4,763.73 in our home fund, a whopping $207.60 in our gift fund, which is good. It shows that what we saved throughout the year for Christmas was like the right amount, you know? We currently have 1,585.22 in our car sinking fund. What's that? Oh, I didn't add that. There you go. Missing a category. Cool. So just go here, scroll down to savings, car expenses. I can't believe I missed that. That's like the one that we actually need, that we use all the time. We're going to start our extra payment back at 0. So I'm not going to add anything in here. That way we can see how much we've contributed extra towards our mortgage. That will track throughout the year. Rainy day fund, we have 339.71 in there. And then baby fund. Beautiful. So that's all of our savings accounted for. That should be exactly what we had total saved minus the 50,000 extra. 101,461. So it should be 5 1461.18. Yeah, cool. So all of our savings have been set up for the new year. Now, say come January, if I want to pull money from my savings, I just go to my monthly budget, January, scroll down to the transaction tracker, and I just do a minus. This is how I track what I take from my savings. So say $300 we're going to take from our emergency fund. That amount will be added to our left to spend. So we're taking it and pulling it into our everyday account. We're now able to budget that amount. And then I just track what that $300 is spent on. So for example, pets. Oh my God, did I include the dogs? I didn't include the dogs in my expenses. Oh my God, am I okay? Am I okay? Oh, this is what I mean, multitasking, pregnancy brain. Okay, well, let's pretend the dogs are in my expenses. Gosh, what else am I missing now? I'm like second guessing everything. Okay, let's pretend we spent it on home stuff. A home emergency. Oh, crikey. Then when I go back to the savings and debt tracker tab, you'll see here it's automatically updated. So you can see I've pulled that $300 from my emergency fund. Started the year at 40,000, now sitting at 39,700. I hope that makes sense. That is how I track my savings, my sinking funds, and how I get the most accurate numbers. But yeah, that is my 2026 budget set up. Normally at this point we would budget for January together, but I have a lot of expenses and a lot of considerations with Nick quitting his job and what his income's gonna look like. I feel like we need to just like take a breather, make sure everything's set up perfectly how I want it. Clearly I'm missing a couple of things, so I'm just gonna review. We have a lot of things to discuss, a lot of things to reflect on for January and going into the new month, new year, so we'll set that up together in a future video. As I said, if there's anything that I've missed or any categories that you think would really benefit me, anything that you include in your budget that you find really helpful, let me know. But otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. Thank you so much for resetting with me. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful 2026. I'm sending you all so much love, and I'll see you very, very soon for another video. Bye guys.